MPI family, let's talk about traveling, can we? Listen, I know you like to travel. I know you love to take trips. But you got to make sure you travel in your budget. You don't want to end up like this guy. Check him out.
What up, y'all? I'm here still in DR. I missed my flight last night. I just got off the phone with Spirit. I'm waiting on them to call me back. It's $100 reschedule fee. Uh, I need a cash app, guys. I need a cash app to try to get this fee together, man. I'm so sick right now. I'm sick as hell. I've been trying to call Kayla because I know she's like in the area. So I've been trying to call her to like set something up to where I can get like some actual money because I'm hungry. I have very little bread left. I maybe got like $15. I'm just calling on the subscribers now to see can I get another 100 to get the reschedule fee.
Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. Family, if you didn't get what was going on there, this brother took a trip, missed his flight on the way home, and didn't have enough money to get home because his traveling budget was so tight. Now, based on the conversation I'm having with you, I don't think any of you are traveling this tight. But also based on those same conversations, I know you like to travel. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also know that you haven't really figured out, is your traveling putting a dent in your future retirement plan, home ownership plan, business ownership plan, child's college education plan, any future financial goals? Some of you are putting that at risk because you haven't budgeted effectively. So I want to make sure that not only are you not going to be like that guy, but we're also putting things in the proper perspective. So let's talk about how to budget effectively when traveling. Check out some tips. Try to, as best as you can, adding unexpected trips to your budget well in advance. You never know when they're going to happen, but you can start planning for them as soon as right now. There's always going to be a funeral at the last minute's notice. There's always going to be a loved one that you might want to visit because they've fallen ill or just need some help. There's always going to be a birthday that someone says, hey, we want you to come in for a surprise birthday party, or we want you to come in for our anniversary party. Here's a last minute invitation, or something that's going on out of town that you hadn't put into your plan. As best as you can, try to put those unexpected trips into your budget. Take a look at your previous history. How much have you spent on that last funeral out of town that you flew to? How much did you spend on a day-to-day basis on that last birthday party that you flew out of town to attend? Try to put that in your budget. And again, if there's something comes up unexpected that's outside of your budget and it's going to put your retirement at risk, can you say no? That's an important question you have to discern for yourself. But regardless, try to budget as effective as possible for those unexpected things that can happen and put them on top of your emergency fund. Not as a part of it, but on top of it. Plan your entire budget well in advance. Again, I say entire budget because, again, after talking to a few of you, many of you have only taken into account your traveling expenses. And many times that only includes airfare. And some of you didn't take into account the hotel is going to take, not including all the other things that you have to take into account on the trip itself. Because you have to eat. You want to go out. You might want to buy gifts for the family or something like that. Or there's the traveling back and forth from destination port to the other port. How much is the shuttle going to cost? Do they have Uber over there that you'll be using regularly? All those expenditures that come day to day, that tour guide experience that you hadn't taken into account, all the things you want to do on the trip, try as best you can to be as precise as possible and put those things into a budget. And then leave yourself a little room for waste and miscellaneous items that you hadn't taken into account. Because you know those things happen on trips all the time. Use your phone as a daily spending diary. That's right. Every time you spend a penny, if you throw a penny in a well, write it down in your phone. And make sure at the end of the day, take 15 minutes per day to track where was all my money spent and how did I spend it. And Is that spending diary in alignment with the estimated budget that I put together before the trip even started? Redirection is a critical component of vacations. Redirection, it's extremely important. What that means is this. You're on the trip and you have your current budget that you've already estimated. But then you see this unbelievable experience. It could be shark diving, it could be parasailing, whatever it may be that you hadn't taken into account in your current budget. What happens most of the time, wrongfully, is that we take this unbelievable experience and add it on to our current budget. And that's where we start to over budget and spend too much money. And that takes away from those long-term goals that hopefully you've taken into account before you've even left on the trip. So redirection means, yes, I want to go shark diving, and it's going to cost $500 to do so, but where am I going to get that $500 from within this traveling budget for this current trip? That's going to be critical in making sure you're not spending too much money and putting your retirement, that new home, or other future expenses, future goals at risk. Learning the culture of where you're traveling is very critical. For instance, not all countries expect tips. Well, most do, but they're not going to say no to money, I promise you that. But it might not be in the culture to actually tip individuals when you're going out to eat or when you get a service. So sometimes what happens is that we're spending money on things that aren't even expected, taking away from opportunities to put towards that unbelievable experience that we just talked about. So learning the culture and where you should and don't have to spend money is very critical to making sure you don't go over budget. Chatting with other travelers can be very good for your pocketbook. Why? Because they might be doing various things that you would have liked to do on your trip. You can ask them and say, hey, how was that shark diving experience? Are there any places we can go that we can save a couple of bucks? Do you have a coupon you can refer to? Again, have these conversations. Don't be afraid to ask what other experiences are being had by other folks on the same trip to help you save some money. Making a part or maybe all of your trip can be a tax-deductible experience if you volunteer. This is one of my favorite tips because I love giving back. I love doing mission work. And if you can get with an accredited 501c3 organization, according to the IRS, then when you go feed the needy or help the homeless or help to build a water well or something that helps that local community, and again, they're an accredited 501c3 according to the IRS, at least that portion of the trip and the expenses around it can be tax deductible. Now, if you go help build a water well on Monday, but then you go shark diving on Tuesday, I highly doubt that the IRS is going to consider your shark diving experience to be a tax deductible experience. But building that water well could be if they're an accredited 501c3 organization. So check it out with your accountant and making sure you can give back and save some money at the same time. Look, I get it. This is vacation. And most importantly, I want you to be able to get away and detach and just have a good time. In the midst of doing that, understand that waste will happen. It's going to happen. So when it does happen, don't kick yourself or beat yourself up about it. Learn from it and learn what you might be able to do to avoid that from happening again on the next trip. The biggest thing, have some fun, smile, laugh, but also keep in mind, because hopefully my voice or somebody else's voice in the mind says, hey, I still have long-term goals I want to keep in perspective, all right? So with that being said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please email, text, because again, I want you to use these tips and more, because I don't want you to end up like this guy, all right? Talk to you soon. Peace.